when a club's won 8 straight games and you lose the way you did the other night, memories have to be shortened knowing that confidence and momentum still hasn't left your club yet, Sheldon.
Yeah, for sure. Memories have to be short all the time. Even when you're winning 8 straight, when you come through each of those games, you got to forget about it quickly. Otherwise, I feel like that's when things go wrong for you. And I feel like we've been able to clean the slate pretty quickly after each of our games, no matter the results. And this is no different. We've had a couple days here now to really make sure it's rinsed, and we've got a fresh start here. It's a best-of-5 series, and we're starting it on home ice here.
3 playoff games on home ice to date. Now you get 3 games in 4 nights. I mean, that's got to feel different. Sleep in your own beds and all that goes with it.
Yeah, for sure. It is different. Just even playing back to back in game 1 and 2 was a different thing. Not so different in the regular season, of course, but we hadn't experienced that through the playoffs to date. And 3 and 4 here's its own challenge, but it's one game here tonight, and that's what we're focused on, and we're certainly happy to be at home.
You said something yesterday, something along the lines of when you get prospects in, one of the things you try to do is get them out of their comfort zone and doing things they're not used to doing. Can you kind of expand on that as a coaching principle with this organization?
Well, I think that generally what happens is almost all the players that come in to the American Hockey League are very good players, and they've all been the best players on their team, and things like that. But usually, a lot of areas of the game aren't as developed because they've been relied upon to be the go-to guy, the offensive guy, and other areas of their game haven't been as much of a priority. So to be able to develop that other side of it to match what they're already good at, I think gives you a more complete player, a more versatile player, and a more developed pro. And those are the types of guys that become NHL players, in our opinion, and that's what we've been able to focus on.
I guess the best example of that in my mind anyway is Kasperi Kapanen going from speedster, playmaker, goal scorer to penalty killer. And I guess you're sort of doing the same thing here with Pierre Engvall. You sort of mentioned that yesterday. He's not necessarily the goal scorer that Cappy was, but he's moved all positions and plays all roles here.
Yeah, that's a good example. Trevor Moore is another one. Just a guy that was a top line player in college hockey, and then here's developed now into a key power play player, but also key penalty killer, out late in games, play against other teams' best players, play him on any line, play him on both wings, all those types of things. So yeah, that's one of the things we've looked at with Pierre, and at times it's been challenging because he wants to be the key guy in the power play, and he wants to do that because that's what he's done his whole life. But at the same time, he's embraced an opportunity to develop as a center iceman. He's taken advantage and embraced the chance to play against other teams' best players, whether that was last season on that Gauthier line or this year with Greening, or playing a little bit of both in terms of being a reliable defender but still playing with good offensive people like Korshkov and Timashov. So he's really done that well in terms of adding another layer to his game, and then the penalty killing is another thing that we think he's done a real nice job of.
Is that what Tommy Bergman was saying a year ago with Pierre, what he had to work on? And obviously playing on the wing was playing without the puck. Is this where, as a coach and an organization, that you guys try to make strides with these players who at points in their career obviously have had success offensively?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, what's missing in for a lot of these players is that side of it, because as the hockey gets better, where all of a sudden everyone you're playing against is in many ways similar to you, you've got to find and develop those areas of your game that you can get an edge and you can carry play and be more responsible, and set up your teammate for the next shift. The guy who comes over the boards is going to be in a good spot. Those are little things that I don't think many players think about until they reach the level where it's required, because the game is so competitive and the games are so tight, where those things really start to matter. So that's what we talk to our players a lot about.
I seem to remember you as a player being really, your competitive nature was really fiery, perhaps more so than other players. As a coach, you have to temper that a little bit. So how did you temper the competitiveness that you probably still feel as a coach behind the bench as compared to a player to be a coach?
Well, experience has been part of it. It's not always been the case, and it still is not always the case. You got to be conscious of it. I look back to the first game I ever coached as a head coach back with the Pembroke Lumber Kings. I got kicked off the bench in my very first exhibition game that I coached, which I remember walking off the bench thinking, this is absolutely ridiculous. You know, I've come a long way since then, but you know, I am a competitor. I think that's naturally what wants you to stay in the game and stay involved, as I am and as coaches are. But yeah, you've got to temper it. You know, you have to recognize that the players a lot of times are feeding off of your energy, and you got to keep all those things in mind. But also, you got a lot on your mind as well. You got to keep a clear head.
Yeah, because if you get sort of out of control, then most likely your bench is going to get out of control, and the game gets out of control, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. You know, the players feed off that, and you know, I think I've come a long way in that regard, and something I think about a lot. But you know, certainly at times, the competitive nature kicks in and takes over, and it is an emotional game. You know, a lot happens quickly, and especially at this time of year. But I think experience really helps with that.
You don't see coaches get kicked off benches very much at all.
A lot of things happen in the junior A level that don't happen here.